name is Paul Boo. I'm the head instructor and owner of Hayastan IMB Mixed Martial Arts in Charlotte, North Carolina. We have 3 locations in Charlotte and surrounding areas. I'm an overall MMA coach, as well as I teach everything from kids karate, kids grappling, all the way through the adult mixed martial arts programs.
My name is Kevin Ferrant. I'm from Buffalo, New York. I've been here in Charlotte for 8 years. I've been training in mixed martial arts at Hayastan IMB for the last 3 years, and I've also been training at Dime Boxing. I've played hockey my whole entire life. I've watched fights on TV probably since I was born. I've always been a little scrappy guy, and I just seemed interested. I wanted to try training in mixed martial arts and competing in it. Health-wise, I mean, I'm in the best shape of my life. I exercise 5-6 days a week, and my eating habits are a million times better than they were. My amateur record is 10 wins, 2 losses, and 1 no contest. I'm making my pro debut September 10th at the Grady Cole Center for Imperial Fighting. I'm fighting against Sebastian Wojcik, who's also making his professional debut. I've been training hard for this fight. I'm pretty excited about turning pro. That's a pretty big deal to me. For me, getting ready for this fight, because it's my pro debut, not much has changed a whole lot, because as an amateur we were training already as if pros. We have pros in the gym already, so I was helping pros get ready for their fights, and my training camp I treated as a pro camp even as an amateur. Well, I've been fighting about 6 times a year. I think I could maybe do that for the next 3 years. I slow down a little bit. So maybe have 20 fights in 5 years, have hopefully 15 wins, 5 losses, 20-0 obviously, but 15 wins, 5 losses, pretty respectable record, gaining experience, and I would like to someday open up my own mixed martial arts school, train other fighters.
My name's Adam Zart. I'm one of the mixed martial arts instructors here at Hayastan IMB. My primary focus is the strength and conditioning program of our fighters and our other students and things here at the school. Well, our strength conditioning program, the first portion of the class focuses on more of a strength program. So we're doing slower, direct exercises. We're moving slower, no anaerobic or aerobic activity, really just trying to build strength endurance. After about our first 2 weeks of doing that, we'll move on up and start doing more anaerobic activity, which would consist of like plyometric jumping, all body weight based exercises. Then as we get closer to the actual event, our fighters will start doing some kettlebell exercises, some heavier resistance type exercises like pull-ups and things like that.
My name is Gray Sweet. I'm from Charlotte, North Carolina. I'll be 42 years old October 16th. I train at Hayastan IMB, and I also do some boxing over at Dime Boxing with James Presley. Been training in mixed martial arts for a little over 3 years with Paul Boo over at Hayastan IMB. To get ready for the upcoming fight, I've been training with, I think, the best fighters in the Southeast. I've been training with Kevin Ferrant, Keith Richardson, Tony Tan, and even the guys that aren't in the cage. I mean, I show even more respect than Tom Ziegler, some of these guys that could fight if they wanted to, but just don't for whatever reason. This is my second fight coming up. I mean, my mentality going into it's pretty much the same. I don't get nervous. I would say more anxious than anything. 42 years old, man, I don't care. I'm not scared of getting knocked. There's nothing anybody can do to scare me. I'm always trying to figure out a way to take care of the other guy, beat the other guy, break the other guy's will. And my strength, I don't think this guy will. I don't think he stands a chance. Don't really care, to be honest, how good he is or how bad he is. He's got to come to fight. Either he's going to come to fight or he isn't. If he hits hard, he might get lucky and knock me out. If not, it's going to be a long night for him.
My name is Lewis Grady, and one of my primary functions here at the Hayastan IMB Academy is a striking coach. I primarily like to take the punches and the kicks, and I teach the fighters to put those together. One of the primary things I like to do with the fighters is I'm a very physical coach. I like to get in there with them. I like to put my weight on them and have them react against my weight. If they can move me around, they can probably move the people that are at their weight class around. I enjoy getting into that clinch position with them, really making those knees become prevalent and putting the knees together with some of the shorter, close-range strikes.
My name's Keith Richardson. I fight out of Modern Warrior MMA. in Rock Hill, South Carolina, and Team Hayastan in Charlotte, North Carolina. I'm 5'6", fight at featherweight 145 pounds, and I'm an overall fighter with a solid wrestling background, brown belt in combat jiu-jitsu, and good hands. My advantage is over Dustin. I'd probably have to start with my strength. I've always been a strong fighter, and at 145, I think he'll lose even more strength. I'm a little more compact than him. I think the fact of how good, how well-rounded I am will definitely bear in my advantage. Plus, I also always have the ability to dictate where the fight goes, because I've definitely got the superior wrestling in this way. I kind of feel at home in the cage. Some guys are just born warriors, I guess. You know, it's all about the challenge for me. It's not about violence. It's just the pure sport there is to me. You know, it's all about the competition. You know, you're not going to find any sport that's, you know, realer than this.
My primary focus here at the school is kind of making sure that everything comes together. I make sure that the fighters get the fights, I set the fights up for them, I do the management side of things as far as dealing with sponsorships, dealing with making sure that they have everything they need for the fight, make sure their fight camps are timed out correctly, where they're peaking at the right times. As well as I also, as a direct coach, I focus on their grappling. That would be my primary focus when it comes to the actual training part of it. But just like all the coaches here, we're all well-rounded, so I work with them on striking, work with them on strength conditioning and everything, but each individual coach has their sort of specific thing that they do well, so we let them primarily focus on that. Leading up to the fight, coming up to the fights that happened on September 10th at Imperial Fights, it was Kevin Ferrant's pro debut, which was a pretty big deal for him. He was a very well-known amateur, went 10-2-1 as an amateur, took 3 amateur titles. So it was long awaited for him to turn pro. This was finally his opportunity, so it was a very big fight for him. As well as Keith Richardson was one of our pros, who was the main event on the card, so also it was a very big deal for him. It was a very large fight. He's the main event. And then we also had several amateurs that were scheduled to fight on the card, Gray Sweet being one of them. And with all these guys, we basically went through our normal routines, making sure their cardio was there, making sure their grappling, their striking was there, got their confidence up, made sure they were where they needed to be. Once we found out their opponents, we started setting up specific game plans for them.
Patriot fight September 10th, Imperial fighting. That fight went down exactly as we planned it. The game plan my coaches put up, I followed it to a T. I went in aggressively, got the early takedown, and ground and pounded him. The only thing that went different from the plan was he made it out of the first round.
Pretty much went exactly to the letter as if we wrote a script for it. We knew Sebastian was a good striker. We knew he had a long background in striking. He'd been training his grappling for 2 years. We knew he'd been training at a good grappling school, but we wanted to put those 2 years to the test. We knew that Kevin could potentially beat him with striking, but again, why do that?
Heading into the fight, I was very confident in my conditioning. And my strength conditioning program at Hayastan IMB, where Adam Zart is, puts me in the best condition that I could possibly be in. During the fight, I was never fatigued or winded. I threw a lot of punches. A lot of guys might have punched themselves out. But at the end of the fight, I was going as just as strong as I started the fight off. My coaches wanted me to throw a little bit more elbows. Being my first pro fight, it was my first experience throwing elbows. I wasn't as comfortable throwing my elbows as I thought I was. It takes a lot, you commit a lot of your body into the elbows. It kind of felt like I might be losing my base a little bit, so I held back slightly on throwing elbows and used more of my hands. It's something I'm going to work on in training camp.
We knew that his grappling, even if it had gotten better in 2 years, could only be at a certain level. So we knew that if we could get that fight to the ground, we'd be able to take that fight to him and impose our will, and that's exactly what Kevin did. Kevin basically got him down, dominated him for the entire first round. Credit to Sebastian, he fought hard, he fought well as far as hanging in there, and he didn't have any quit in him, so it went to the second round, and Kevin did the same thing again, got him down and pretty much just went to work on him. And at the end of the day, finally the ref had seen enough, and it was stopped due to strike.
I thought the fight went good. I went in kind of beat up from my fight before, but not to take anything away from Jeremy. He did a good job in there. He did what he had to do to win. I learned a lot. First of all, one of the things is I got to get my head right for one. I think my mind's doing a lot of racing when I just need to slow things down. I was surprised in my cardio because I wasn't able to train as much as I'd wanted to, but it could have been a lot worse, I guess.
Gray's game plan, unfortunately, we didn't have a lot of information on the guy that he was fighting. So we knew that the guy probably was more of a grappler, but we felt that Gray was going to be stronger in the grappling. In the fight, actually, Gray had a little bit better results with the striking, but he just had some issues going into the fight. He fought a very hard fight, put a lot of heart into it. It didn't come out his way at the end. You know, we're going back to the drawing board, just trying to figure out a way to get that game plan stuck in his head.
As far as preparing for future fights, I mean, focus more on my ground game, because I feel like I do have a ground game, and in the last 2 fights, haven't been able to utilize that a bit. And I'm not really too worried. I think he'll get me straightened out. I think I'll be good for my next fight. I got 2 months, I think, before my next fight, and I feel pretty confident. And I'm healthy right now. I feel really good.
The fight against Dustin Wong went great. We stuck to the game plan. Came in with a little strength, a little muscle, but. I kept it close, kept it nasty, and got the submission in the beginning of the 2nd round. Part of the game plan, you know, we knew he was going to be looking for a triangle, you know, and just to do that, you know, he's got to open up his guard. So I was just sitting on it and waiting for him to go for that, and that's what I was using to help pass his guard. And we also weren't going to play in his guard. You know, I kept on standing up, delivering shots from up top. Now, caught a couple of up kicks. But, you know, you'll get that when you're 5'6", and the guy you're going against is 6'2". I was surprised that he gave me the rear naked again after I sunk it in at the end of the 1st round and just ran out of time on it. I think I had him a little flustered. You know, when you're going against a guy, you know, that's that talented and, you know, has that many weapons, they're not really used to nothing really working for them. You know, I think it took them by surprise, my aggressive style and, you know, my top control. Dustin was a super guy, you know, real class act. It's almost hard to punch a guy that nice in the face, almost.